Good day. I'm Andrea Mitchell in Washington. Right now on Capitol Hill, the first of 3 congressional hearings into Toyota's safety issues. Did the U.S. government ignore red flags and allow Toyota to overlook a dangerous problem? Republican Congressman Darrell has been leading the way, ranking Republican on the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, joining us now. Congressman, thanks very much. From what you've heard so far, the prepared testimony that we're expecting to get tomorrow from CEO Toyoda, the company owner, his op-ed in today's Wall Street Journal. What do we know so far about whether the company is now finally taking this seriously?
Well, we think there's some signs that they're taking it seriously. Certainly they're touting their new fail-safe system where you hit the brake and the gas and the car is still going to slow down. This is a good step. I have some concerns as of today that simply talking about growth and lack of training isn't quite enough in the change to the culture that we hope he'll be talking about tomorrow when he gives us his vision of how Toyota is going to be different in the future when it comes to what might only be 200 or 300 or less reports of problems, but getting to the bottom of them sooner.
And especially the hearing today, Rhonda Smith, this woman from Tennessee, she and her husband testifying about their personal problems. They were ignored. They were dissed by Toyota. They were accused of lying about the problems. It was clearly an electronic problem. I'm no expert here. Believe me, anyone who knows me knows I am no expert on cars or driving for that matter. But the fact is that this woman repeatedly, she tried everything. She went into every gear. She was, trying to get into neutral, then she tried to pull over, and the car still kept turning over.
No, absolutely. Having more than almost 30 years now in electronics, and particularly auto electronics, I know how frustrating it can be when there is a random problem. It's not being duplicated everywhere, but somebody really is having the problem. And I think her testimony, although anecdotal, is a good lesson to all the car companies that they have to take every safety question serious, even if it's the first one they've heard.
Now, Mr. Toyoda's op-ed in today's Wall Street Journal, they know they've got a problem now. He writes, "It is clear to me that in recent years we didn't listen as carefully as we should or respond as quickly as we must to our customers' concerns. While we investigated malfunctions in good faith, we focused too narrowly on technical issues without taking full account of how our customers use our vehicles." I'm not sure that that really addresses a problem such as Mrs. Smith, who, anecdotally, as you point out, had an electronic problem. This was not a floor mat.
Yeah, there's no question that the floor mat fits the how they use it. Perhaps a cup holder where someone dumps their coffee into the electronics would describe it. But in this case, Toyota is not a leader in looking at small electronics or non-electronics concerns, and they need to become one. They are one of the finest manufacturers, but right now we're asking the question of, do they listen? Are they prepared to listen? I think their dealers listen well, but does the company listen well, and does it transmit all the way back to Japan, or is there going to be real capability in the U.S. to deal with these without having to go to Japan?
Now, Congressman Issa, you brought it up, and I want to put it out there for all of our viewers and anyone who's been reading about this, because there has been no one who's been more aggressive in going after this problem, the government regulatory side and the company side. But you did have a background before, when you were in private business, in the alarm system, the auto alarm system, Viper, and you obviously did sell to Toyota. So that's the extent of your involvement at this stage?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I did not sell to Toyota. I did sell products that went into Toyota. After I left the company, my former company, which I no longer own, has done some licensing arrangements. But, one thing about this town is if you're not willing to forget about what's in your personal best interest and look at the interest of the American people, then you should take off your tie and go home. And I think that's one of the important things. Of course, I have an affection for the electronics industry and for the auto industry, but getting them to do what they need to do is my responsibility today.
And do you think today that NHTSA and, in fact, the people at the Department of Transportation have in any way, well, let's talk about NHTSA over the years, has the National Highway Transportation Safety Board, have they been too cozy with the industry in the past?
I certainly think the revolving door has been to their detriment. The fact that people leave NHTSA and go to these industries and become successful lobbyists doesn't speak well. It's something that President Obama talked a lot about during his campaign. Additionally, I think that when there's a record of NHTSA not asking for more resources, not being innovative in new technology, and more importantly, abandoning some inquiries saying they don't have resources, well, they're not asking for more resources. And Andrea, the auto companies spend over $86 billion a year in research and development. NHTSA's job with its $18 million budget is to make sure they do their job, not to actually be replacement designers. And that's where I think NHTSA has not lived up to the expectation of the American people.
And what do you want to hear from Ray LaHood and from the Department of Transportation in this?
Well, Ray LaHood is a candid speaker and a straightforward guy. I've known him for many, many years. I want to hear that his vision is to change what's going on at NHTSA and the Department of Transportation, make it more proactive. If he needs systems or dollars, to come to us for it, but more importantly, to make sure that they change the bureaucratic paper pushing that, quite frankly, has taken care of a lot, but not all the safety concerns in the last few years.
And Darrell, Issa, the ranking Republican on the committee that's going to be holding the big hearings tomorrow, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us.